Wait! No! Let them through right now. He is my guest, and she is with him.
Rain
Stand down
slammed
and
against the
let them
cracked
pass.
windshield of Marcus Reed's old pickup like handfuls of gravel. His daughter Lily sat beside him, wrapped in a faded yellow blanket, holding a lunchbox with a broken handle. "Daddy," she whispered, "are we still going to the interview tomorrow?" Marcus looked at the road ahead. Water ran across it like a river. "We are," he said. "And this time, maybe they'll say yes." Lily smiled, but Marcus could see she was trying to be brave. 3 months earlier, the same company had rejected him without even calling him inside. Sterling Global. A glass tower downtown. The kind of place where men like Marcus delivered packages, fixed wires, or guarded the door, but never sat in the interview chair. He had stood there once with polished shoes and hope in his chest, while a young clerk told him the position had been filled. No interview. No reason. Just a cold smile and a closed door. He had been a mechanic, a warehouse worker, a night security guard, anything honest that kept food on the table. Since Lily's mother left, every bill felt like a mountain. Then headlights flashed ahead. A black luxury car sat sideways near the ditch, half hidden by rain. Its hazard lights blinked weakly. One door was open. Marcus slowed. "Daddy, someone's there." A woman stumbled out, holding her side. Her hair was soaked. Her white blouse was streaked with mud. One heel was missing, and her hand shook as if she had been running from more than the accident. Behind her, a branch cracked above the car. Marcus did not think about the interview. He did not think about the gas tank almost empty. He only pulled over. "Stay here, baby," he said. He ran into the storm. The woman looked up as he reached her. "My driver," she gasped. "He's still inside." Marcus pulled the door open. The driver was unconscious, trapped by the bent steering wheel. Marcus pushed, strained, and cut his hand on broken glass. Thunder shook the trees. "Sir, the car might slide," the woman cried. "Then we move faster." He dragged the driver free just as the muddy ground gave way. The car slipped down the ditch and crashed into the water below. The woman stared at Marcus like she had just seen a miracle. "What's your name?" she asked. "Marcus Reed." Her face changed for half a second, but the rain hid it. Before Marcus could ask why, police lights appeared in the distance. The woman stepped closer and whispered, "Please don't tell anyone you found me here." Then she looked at Lily in the truck. "And tomorrow," she said, "go to your interview." By morning, the storm had passed, but Marcus could still hear the woman's voice. "Go to your interview." He stood outside Sterling Global wearing his only suit. The sleeves were too short, and one cuff had a small bloodstain from the cut on his hand. Lily had insisted on fixing his tie before school. "You look like a boss," she had said. Marcus almost laughed then. Now, facing the silver doors, he was not so sure. Inside, the lobby smelled like coffee and polished stone. People moved fast, their shoes tapping like clocks. Marcus walked to the front desk. "I'm here for the maintenance operations interview." The receptionist looked at his file, then gave him a strange smile. "Mr. Reed, please take the private elevator to the 32nd floor." Marcus blinked. "Private?" "Yes, sir." The elevator opened into a quiet hallway with soft lights. At the end stood the woman from the storm. Only now, she was dry, calm, and dressed in a navy suit that looked more expensive than Marcus's truck. Her hair was pinned back. Her eyes were sharp, but tired. "You," Marcus said before he could stop himself. She smiled gently. Me? You work here. In a way. She held out her hand. Elena Sterling. Marcus froze. Sterling? As in Sterling Global? As in the company that had rejected him? She noticed the moment he understood, but she did not explain. Instead, she led him into an office with a view of the whole city. I read your file last night, she said. Military mechanic. Single father. 10 years of steady work. No shortcuts. Then why did your company reject me 3 months ago? Elena looked toward the window. That is what I am trying to find out. The honesty in her voice surprised him. For the next hour, she asked real questions. Not the kind that made him feel small. Questions about machines, people, safety, late shifts, and what he would change if workers were treated like partners instead of numbers. Marcus answered plainly. At one point, Elena noticed his bandaged hand. You got hurt saving us. I've had worse. Why did you stop? Most people drove past. Marcus thought of Lily. Because my daughter was watching. Elena looked down, and for the first time, the powerful woman seemed almost fragile. Then her office door opened without a knock. A tall man in a grey suit stepped in. His smile was thin. Elena, he said, the board is waiting. His eyes moved to Marcus. And why is the rejected applicant sitting in your office? The man's name was Victor Hale, Chief Operating Officer of Sterling Global. Marcus knew the type. Clean hands. Cold eyes. A gold watch flashing under the lights. The kind of man who could destroy someone's life and still make it sound like policy. Elena stood. Mr. Reed is here for a formal interview. Victor lifted a folder. Not according to this. His application was marked high risk. Marcus frowned. High risk? Victor opened the folder like he had waited for this moment. Unstable employment history. Financial pressure. Single-parent liability. Possible temper issues. The words hit Marcus harder than the storm. He had spent years teaching Lily that honest work had dignity, but in that folder, his whole life had been turned into a warning label. Elena, Victor continued, we can't put a man like this near company property. Marcus slowly rose. A man like this? Elena stepped between them. Enough. But Victor smiled at Marcus. Tell me, Mr. Reed, did you mention your eviction notice? Or the unpaid school fees? Or did you only bring the rescue story? Marcus felt heat rise in his chest. Somehow, Victor knew everything. Elena turned to Marcus, shocked. Is that true? Marcus looked at her face and saw the first crack of doubt. I didn't come here for pity, he said. I came for work. Victor's voice sharpened. Security will escort him out. No, Elena said. But 2 guards had already appeared. One of them, embarrassed, touched Marcus's arm. Marcus did not fight. Not in front of glass walls and watching employees. Not with Lily's lunchbox sticker still stuck to his phone. As he stepped into the elevator, Elena followed. Marcus, wait. I need to understand what's happening. He looked at her. You already do. People like him write the story. People like me get judged by it. The elevator doors closed between them. By sunset, Marcus was back at the repair garage where he picked up occasional work. The owner met him outside with a sad face. Marcus, I'm sorry. Corporate called. Said you're not allowed near any sterling contracts. Marcus's stomach dropped. Half the garage work came from sterling equipment. At home, Lily found him sitting at the kitchen table in the dark. "Daddy." He forced a smile. "Just thinking." She put a small envelope in front of him. Inside were $7 and some coins. "My field trip money," she said. "You can use it." Marcus closed his eyes. Then someone knocked. 3 sharp knocks. When he opened the door, Elena Sterling stood there without makeup, holding a file and looking terrified. A black car waited at the curb with its lights off, like she had not wanted anyone to know she came. "Marcus," she said, "your rejection was not an accident." Marcus did not invite her in at first. Rainwater still dripped from the porch roof, and Lily peeked from behind his leg. Elena looked past him and saw the cracked kitchen table, the unpaid bills, and the little girl trying not to look scared. "I'm sorry," Elena said softly. Marcus held the door. "For what part?" "For believing the system was fair because it was fair to me. For sitting in a tower and thinking good people would always be noticed." That answer made him pause. Elena stepped inside, but she stayed near the door, like she knew she had not earned a seat at his table yet. She opened the file in her hands. "Victor had your application flagged before you ever arrived 3 months ago. Not because you were unqualified. Because you reported a safety issue at a warehouse we bought last year." Marcus remembered. A broken lift. A young worker almost crushed. He had refused to sign a false report. "That warehouse belonged to Sterling?" he asked. Elena nodded. "Victor handled the merger. If you came inside and spoke to the right people, his cover-up could fall apart." Marcus's jaw tightened. "So he ruined my name. And tonight he tried to finish the job." Elena pulled out another paper. "But he made one mistake. The driver you saved woke up. He remembers Victor ordering him to take the old river road in the storm, even after the bridge warning." Marcus stared at her. Lily reached for his hand, and his anger cooled just enough for him to think. Why would Victor do that? Elena's voice broke. "Because I found missing money in our charity fund. Money meant for housing families after layoffs. I was going to tell the board today." Lily stepped forward. "Did the bad man hurt you?" Elena looked at the child and answered like the question mattered. "He tried. But your father stopped that." The next morning, Marcus walked back into Sterling Global beside Elena. Employees turned to stare. Victor stood in the boardroom, confident, until Elena placed the file on the table. "This man," she said, pointing to Marcus, "was rejected because he told the truth before we were ready to hear it." Victor laughed. "This is emotional nonsense." Then the driver entered, leaning on a cane. Victor's smile vanished. One by one, records appeared on the screen. Deleted emails. False reports. Stolen funds. Marcus's original safety complaint. Elena turned to Marcus. "I should have found this sooner." Marcus looked at the board, then at Victor. A poor man's truth should not need a billionaire to prove it. Silence filled the room. Victor was escorted out in handcuffs. But when Elena offered Marcus the job, he looked at the contract and did not sign. "Not yet." Elena watched Marcus close the contract folder. For the first time all morning, she looked afraid. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked. Marcus shook his head. "No. But I don't want a reward for saving your life. I want a place where men like me don't need a storm to be seen." The boardroom stayed silent. Elena slowly nodded. Then she turned to the directors. Then we build that place. 6 months later, the Sterling Global maintenance floor no longer looked forgotten. Workers had new safety systems, fair review boards, and a training program named after the warehouse employee Marcus had once protected. Marcus became director of field operations. He still wore work boots. He still carried a toolbox in his truck. And every morning, Lily reminded him not to skip breakfast because directors need pancakes too. Elena changed as well. She stopped walking through the company like a queen behind glass. She visited the loading docks. She learned names. She listened before speaking. And sometimes, after long meetings, she came to Marcus's office just to ask how Lily's spelling test went. Their love did not arrive like thunder. It came quietly. A coffee left on a desk. A ride home after a late shift. Lily falling asleep between them during a movie night. One evening, Marcus found Elena standing in the same parking lot where he had first arrived in his too small suit. She held something behind her back. "What is that?" he asked. She smiled. "A very serious business proposal." He raised an eyebrow. "Sounds dangerous." She handed him Lily's old field trip envelope. Inside was a check made out to the school, paying for every child in her class who could not afford the spring trip. Marcus looked at the envelope, then at Elena. "I asked Lily first," she said. "She said this is what family does." His eyes softened. Lily ran from the car, laughing, and wrapped her arms around Elena's waist. "Did you ask him yet?" Lily whispered loudly. Elena blushed. Marcus smiled. "Ask me what?" Elena took his hand. "Marcus Reed, I don't need a hero for the cameras. I need an honest man beside me. Not because I'm a CEO. Not because you saved me. But because you taught me how to see people. Will you let us become a family?" Marcus looked at Lily, then at Elena, and thought of that stormy night. He had stopped because his daughter was watching. Now she was watching again. "Yes," he said. "With all my heart." And under a clear sky, the man once rejected by Sterling Global walked into a future no one could take from him. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.